So today, again, it's going to be one of those videos where there's no fitness advice, or it might be fitness advice, but it's more business fitness related advice. Because if you know me, then you know that I've earned pretty much every single money that I have in my pocket, in my bank from fitness, or majority of it anyway. What many people don't know is before I got into the gym game, I opened 7 gyms all over the world. And, well, I say all over the world, one in a different country, but you can say it's all over the world. Before I got into the gym game, one of my first businesses, like a legit business in the sense where you have a lease, you have a shop front, you have people walking in, you pay rent, you pay rates, you pay staff, you do all this kind of stuff, was a supplement shop. Yeah, many people don't remember this. They might know it, they might not. If you've grown up with me, then you probably know that in Sheffield, there used to be a supplement shop on the bottom of Moor, which is our town city centre. And as a kid who used to go there, I bought my first weight set from, well, actually, I bought my first weight set from Argos, but I bought a couple of dumbbells and bars from this gym, so probably from this supplement shop on the bottom of Moor. It used to be called Body Active. Now, I remember on a Saturday going down to Body Active. I was only young at the time. I think I must have been about 16, 17. And I remember seeing Zach Khan for the first time. And Zach Khan's a little bit older than me. He's from Sheffield. He's also a bodybuilder. And he was massive, bro. I think he must have been at the time. He's a bit older than me. I think he's about 5 or 6 years older than me, Zach. But those days, he was young and he was a freak. I just remember him sat down, him and Pete Brown, if you know who those guys are from Sheffield. And he was huge. And it was the first time I'd seen anyone so big in real life. In my face, I was like, yo, this guy's massive. And they did like a little seminar in Body Active. And I think there was only like 10 or so people. It was like a little meet and greet. And this was one of the first times I've been and saw like a bodybuilder up close, up personal. And I looked at the supplements and stuff. And back in those days, people started to order things online. There were certain supplement shops that are available online. Not many, but you had to sift through it, find a good website, and then kind of order online that way. So anyway, fast forward a few years, I was 18, turning 19 years old. I was working the doors at the time, had saved up a little bit of money. Not much, but like, you know, when you're that age and you're on 8, 9, eventually £10 an hour, it's quite a lot of money. And it's cash in hand as well, because back in those days, it was a brown envelope. The money was folded up, put in there, and it was like wrote on, literally on a piece of paper, 15 hours, £10 an hour at 150. That's all it was, bro, in a brown envelope. And you got that at the end of your shift, and that was it. That's how you got paid back in those days. So I'd saved up a little bit of money, not much. I wanted to buy a car. And a friend of mine had this shop very close to my house, and it was just a shop front, and it was a battered shop. I think they had like antiques in there, or they were selling something in there, the guys who'd run it before, and it was absolutely battered. And he'd said to me, look, I'm selling this shop if anybody wants to open something. And for some reason, I'm so glad this happened to me at a very, very early age. I'm so happy because no one taught me anything like this. There's no entrepreneurs in my family. There's no business people in my family. Nobody to tell me what to do. I don't have anyone who's senior in my house to say, Fadi, you should do this. No one taught me any principles. No one taught me any business acumen. I never went to school for business. I've got no degree. I've got no education. I've got no qualifications. Zero. The worst start somebody could have in forms of business, I had it. I had the worst start ever. Even the finance, even the knowledge, even everything. But one thing that I had, which most people don't have, and you can't gain that from anywhere, is a goal. I had a goal and knew what I wanted to do. Most people my age to this day don't know what they want to do. I had determination, I had commitment, I had a goal. That was it. I said to this guy, a friend of mine, how much do you want for the shop? And it was very cheap, a couple of £100 it was. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to make it work. He goes, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to open a supplement shop. He says, what the hell's that? And those days, I kid you not, there literally was Holland and Barrett's in town and Body Active on the bottom of Moor. That was it. There was nothing else available. And I thought, I'm going to open a shop and people are going to come in here. All the bodybuilders are going to come. A little bit of people know me from working the doors and stuff like that. So they'll know that this guy's in good shape, because that's what I had then, doors. A good physique, a good six-pack, 16, 17 inch arms. And I was in shape. I'm not saying I was well known at the time or anything like that. I just had this determination. I just thought, I want to open the supplement shop. I don't know why. Something was just telling me to do it, to just push towards this. And I told my family about it. And you know what they said as an Asian family? What the hell is that? What are you going to do there? What are you going to do? Sell steroids? No. Immediately, that's what everyone thinks. And didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, but I was like, look, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Now, at the time, I had a bank card which let me have £1,000 withdrawal limit that let me go over. So I was like, okay, I've got about £1,500 saved up. I can take £1,000 out of this, even though I know I'm going to have to pay it back, but I'll take it out. It is what it is. So anyway, let me tell you how I got the shop. So I got the shop, and the guy who owned the shop said, look, bro, here's the key. There's a load of rubbish in the shop. I'll order a skip outside. You empty the shop out. I'll give you cheap rent based on that. You can have it 1 month rent free, and you can do what the hell you want with it. I was like, okay, perfect. I got the key. I didn't know what the hell to do. I was like, you know what? This is it. I always wanted to work hard. I always knew I was a grafter. I always knew I was going to do something, but I had zero skills. I thought, fuck it, I can at least pick something up, dismantle it, and put it in the skip. So for a week, that's all I did. On my own, in this shop. Dismantled stuff, chucked it, put it in the bin. It was only a very small shop. It wasn't a massive shop. I would say 3 meters by 3 meters. Probably, in fact, no, about 4 meter by 4 meters. So it wasn't a very big shop at all. And I drive past that shop today. Even today, I drive past that shop when I'm in the UK, and I was thinking, I actually had a supplement shop there, which no one even ever knows about. No one ever knows about that, but it's true. It's exactly what happened. Anyway, I took it out, and that was the first time, like the first official time for myself, I had my hands dirty. And there's a very crazy thing that happens when you take the key off a landlord. Something switches in your head, and the switch is, it's very hard to understand unless you've been in the situation. You don't have to do anything when you're your own boss. It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought process. Imagine like many of you guys go to work. You know you have to wake up at a certain time. You know you have to dress a certain way. You know you have to go to work at a certain time. Every single day. You want to book a holiday, you got to ask the boss. You want to go to the toilet, they tell you when you can go to the toilet. You want to go for a lunch break, they've told you when you can go for a lunch break. If you want to wear a different item of clothing to work, they've got to ask permission to wear a different item of clothing to work. You want to listen to music at work, you got to ask them. You want to take your phone out, you got to ask permission. When you don't have no one telling you anything to do, like nobody told me, Fadi, do you know what, bro? You better get up, dismantle that shit, and go and put it in the skip. Nobody told me to do that, bro. I had to get up off my own account. My own mindset thought, I better get up and get shit moving. Nobody helped me. I got up, got it in. Week 1 was done. Week 2, I'm going to paint the shop. I went and bought paints. I didn't even have a car at the time. This isn't a sub story. This is not a sub story. I didn't even have a car at the time. Got the paints, came back, painted the shop. I looked at the flooring and I thought, I don't like the flooring. I'm going to take the carpet out and I'm going to put some laminate flooring. I laid laminate floor myself. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Never ever thought I'd be able to lay it, but I laid it myself. Yes, it was shit. Yes, it looked terrible, but I laid it. And I'll tell you why it looked shit and I got away with it is because I couldn't do the edges. Obviously, that's a very difficult job. It's a skilled worker to do that. But what I did was I laid it in a way where it met the edge on that side, but there was no skirt. I met the edge on that side. And as I came to this side, it was about a couple of inches away from the wall. Now, I didn't have no tools to cut, so I did the best I can. But what I did was I put racks above it. And because the protein tubs were this big, I knew they're going to be at least that far away from the wall anyway. So no one is going to see that gap behind there. Same with that back wall. And then the window side was fine because I just put like a desk in front of it. So literally, it was the worst laminate floor job ever. But look, I made it work. That's my point I'm trying to say. And I was 18 or 19. At 19, I was just turned 19 at the time. I made it work, didn't I? Simple as. I went online and I rang the company. Back in those days, you could ring the company direct. There wasn't that emailers and Q&As and all this kind of stuff. You could ring the person direct. I rang the company and I said, listen, bro, I'm opening a supplement shop in Sheffield. I want X amount of products. He says, look, we've got this coming from the US. We'll give you these for this price. We'll give you this for this price. This is this price. And I was like, okay, not bad. If I make £10 on this, I make £10 on that, I make £5 on this, I'll get whatever it was. I spent £2,000. All my money that I had, I saved a little bit, obviously, because I had to buy the laminates, I had to buy the paint, I had to buy the racks on the shop. Went to zero, bro, to zero. That is an amazing feeling to have at that age. And even if you have no kids and no family and no mortgage at the minute, go to zero. I'll encourage every single person to feel that zero. I felt it many times. I'm going to explain that in another video. I'm going to hopefully do a series on this because I've opened multiple businesses. And there's a lesson to be learned in every single business. And this lesson that I learned from this business was I am the kind of guy who can get up every single day, switch on warrior mode and get to work. No one needs to tell me jack shit. No one needs to motivate me. No one needs to get me. No one needs to give me a kick up the arse and say, Fadi, you better get this done today. I know I have that inside me from that early age. Even before that, I knew I had it inside me. But this was when it first came to light. It's all good saying you've got it inside you, but go out and prove it. Go out and do something. Go and take a lease on. Go and get some keys. Go sign a lease for 10 years. Put your balls on the line, bro. Put everything you've got on the line. If you're a single young man, go out there and put every single penny you've got on black. And that's a casino term if you don't understand what I'm trying to say, or red. Go out and do it, bro. But don't gamble. Don't gamble. I'll tell you about gambling as well soon. Maybe another video I'll talk about my gambling experiences. But you got to do it. And I knew that was it. I was ready. I knew just the lessons I learned there. Hammering a nail, how to screw something, how to lay the laminate floor, how to do this. And do you know how I did that? There was a friend of mine called Steve. I don't know if he's watching this. He probably isn't watching this. And I used to ask him, well, how do you lay this? He said, it's easy. You just chop these together, prop it. Oh, okay, cool. And what about this one here? Well, then you just got to slide it in like this, fix that in. Oh, okay. So how would I get in the corners? Well, you need this tool. I was like, forget the tool. Dismiss that. We'll cover that a bit later. And what have I got to glue this down? How do I make sure it doesn't lift up? And I remember asking him this question. I said, have I not got to glue it down from the middle? And he went, what are you talking about? I'm like, the laminate, is it not going to lift up? Because if someone walks here, it's not going to lift up. And he went, hey, once you lock it in, it will not lift in the middle. I don't know why I thought you had to glue it down. But I just remember asking that question, which is why I'm sharing it with you. And this is a long time ago now. Almost 20 years ago. Wow. So I learned those lessons early on. Anyway, I'll tell you the outcome of that business. Didn't do very well. I'll tell you why. Because there's not a lot of markup in supplements. That's the reality of it. So I paid the rent. That's the main thing. I paid the rent. I learned what business was about. And luckily for me, the business rates were very, very little. There was zero because it was a small shop. So I learned about what business rates were as well at the time. I learned what electric was. I learned what gas was. I learned what all these charges. I learned how you had to pay for the bins. I learned all these little things in that one little business. Not everything, but I learned enough from that young age what a business was. You buy something, you pay tax on it, you sell something, you're selling a product, you take that money in, you keep some money to buy stock, and you keep some money to put back into the business. Not in your pocket. You pay yourself a very minimal, modest wage. I learned those principles very early on. Nobody ever taught me those principles. No one in my family or even immediately close to me is a business person or that age anyway, and said, Fadi, this is how you do shit. You don't do it like this. You don't do it like this. You do it like that. There was no internet. There was no YouTube. There was no Google for me to go on and say, how do you open a business? Now you can go on YouTube and say how to open a gym. The guy will give you the blueprint. I'm going to give you the blueprint on how to open a gym in the next couple of videos. That's what I'm going to do. Nobody taught me any of those. Books were available, but the problem with books at the time was, for me, one, I wasn't a good reader. I'm not a good reader now either. I wasn't a good reader, but I didn't know what books to buy. So imagine you go to like W.H. Smith and you're thinking, I want to open a gym, right? I'm going to open a gym. I'm going to open a business, sorry. I'm going to open a business. I'm going to open a supplement shop. Which book do I buy? That's the problem. Now it's very easy to go online, find someone like me who's a gym owner or who has been a gym owner, who has opened a business, and say, right, I'm going to book in a 1-hour consultation call with this guy. He has the blueprint. He knows what works. He knows what doesn't work. He knows the pitfalls. He knows those blind bends. He knows what's coming. Let me speak to this guy. See if I know, if I'm missing anything. Am I on the right track? Am I on the wrong track? Let me see. Let me figure it all out. That's why you need now to consult with someone like me. I'm not saying consult me for anything like that. I'm not trying to sell anything right now. Links in the description if you want to buy anything. But I learned these lessons earlier on. And these lessons are not in a textbook. There is no book out there that will give you these lessons. There's people out there that can teach you this stuff. There's people out there you can speak to who have this business kind of mindset because they've done it over and over again. And one of the main things that I've learned now, which I was good at back in those days, was failing, but failing fast. When you fail, don't romanticize on an idea. Don't get stuck with an idea and say, I can't believe this isn't working now. I'm going to put more money into it. When you see something doesn't work, fail fast. The second it doesn't work, get the hell out. Figure the next step. Right, we know this didn't work. What did we do wrong? We did this wrong. There was no money in it. Why was there no money in it? Okay, because I was only buying X amount of stock. Not many people wanted that stock. If they went to the bottom of More Body Active, they could have got it there. The stuff that they wanted, the stuff that I bought wasn't the stuff that people wanted. And back in those days, there wasn't a lot of gyms. Not many people went to the gym. Out of a group of 50 kids or 50 guys, there was probably 2 or 3 that trained. Nowadays, you go to Pure Gyms, JD Gyms, they're packed. Every street corner has a gym. Gymshark is one of the biggest clothing companies in the world right now, which tells you what? People are going to the gym. Lululemon, athleisure or whatever they call it. Why are they big? Because people want good looking clothes to fit because they're always active and they're in the gym. Back in those days, there was none of that. Now you can walk around in a hoodie and a t-shirt and a pair of shorts and walk around and be a normal guy. Back in those days, if you had a pair of shorts and you had tracky bottoms on and trainers, you're like, who the hell is this guy? He's a gym guy. He's an athlete. Maybe he's an athlete. You could not walk downtown and see people in a pair of trainers and a pair of shorts or a pair of tracky bottoms and say, he's a normal dude. You'd think he was an athlete. That's what it was back then. So times were different. You got to move with the times. But the point I'm trying to say here is the lesson I learned from that business was it didn't work. It didn't work. Luckily, I broke even. I gave my mate the keys back. I cleaned the place up. We had a nice clean shop ready for the next guy to move in. And the guy moved in. I think it was a barbershop after that. Spent on a couple of things, got a few couches and got a few tabletops in here and there. You know what they sell, how they set up a barbershop. And then it became a barbershop after that. And it was fine, you know. I learned a valuable lesson from it. But guess what I did straight after that? I moved straight on to the next thing. I didn't quit. That's when I got my first taste of being a businessman. And I thought, you know what? This is something I like. Okay, it didn't work. I know it didn't work. Why did it not work? I learned from that lesson straight away. I thought it didn't work. I was spending my time in there. I was sat there. I remember sitting there on my desk. I had a little desk and people used to come in and I used to be like, yeah, this protein's good. This does this, this does that, this does this. And I probably had 10 people in a whole day walk in. And I would open that shop till 8 p.m. at night in the hope that somebody might drive past and see it and just walk in. It's crazy. I learned a lot of lessons from that business. It was my first ever taste of business, not success, business. And I encourage everybody to go out there and fail at some business. People don't fail in the gym doing anything nowadays, let alone business. I failed, spent every single pence I had into a business that ultimately failed. But I learned a hell of a lot of lessons from there. Hopefully, guys, you've learned some lessons from watching this video. Comment down below if you have learned any lessons. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about how I opened my very first gym. So if you want to learn and hear that video, then please subscribe and like the video.